We know from the previous chapter, Kathy's attempted abortion, that she is not interested in having these babies. She's not interested in being a mother. She's shown it with her actions, and she said it with her words in no uncertain terms. In the previous section of this chapter, on their way to the birth, Lee tells Samuel that it has him shook because this birth is like a battle to the death rather than a birth. What in the world could Lee mean by a battle to the death? Well, Samuel looks at the sky and he knows something is strange. Lee interprets the sky and says it's because there's no wind. Samuel says something that could not be more correct and more incorrect at the exact same time. He says, we dug up a shooting star this morning, and if nature gives any signs, what a great day to be born. Well, nature is giving a sign, but he's interpreting it the wrong way. It is a terrible day to be born. So Samuel comes to the house. It is broodingly quiet, and the shades are pulled down. Notice all the references to darkness in the Trask household versus the light that Samuel wants to shine in on this new birth. Remember, this is what Samuel is known for as a vet and as a doctor, as a self-taught both. His kind, soft, poetic, beautiful, kind, loving hands bring life into the world, and Kathy wants it dark and she wants it quiet, pitch black inside, shades down, and blankets tacked over the window. So it's a double darkness in the Trask household. He raised his head and looked blindly out, did Adam. Samuel said pleasantly, "Why are you sitting in the dark?" What does Adam say about his wife? Symbolically, she doesn't want the light. It hurts her eyes. Then Samuel replies, "There will have to be light. She can close her eyes. I'll tie a black cloth over them if she wants." So Kathy lives in darkness. She wants nothing but darkness. And by his naivete, Adam is in a different sort of darkness as well. "The light hurts her," he said fiercely. And then Samuel pulled the blanket down and rolled up the shade to let the golden afternoon light in. Samuel striving for golden light, Adam for darkness, Kathy for double darkness. Kathy made a little mewing sound from the bed. Remember, Kathy is a cat. The first person with the mark of Cain we saw in this novel was named Cat. Adam went to her, "Close your eyes, dear. I'll put a cloth over your eyes." Again, Kathy in double darkness, eyes closed, something over her eyes. Now Samuel sends Adam out of the room, and it's Samuel and Kathy alone in the room. In Samuel, he saw true hatred in her eyes, unforgiving, murderous hatred. Remember, murderous is not just a funny word. Kathy is indeed capable of actually killing someone. "It'll be over before long, dearie." "Now tell me, has the water broke?" Her hostile eyes glared at him, and her lips raised snarling from her little teeth. We saw in their dinner in the previous chapter that Samuel noticed her dead eyes and her lips and her teeth. Now he's noticing them again, equally devilish, in this moment that is supposed to be a beautiful, glorious, loving celebration of new life and motherly love, is instead an occasion for darkness, dead eyes, snarling lips, and sharp teeth. It gave him a shivering to see her face change, the steel leave her eyes, the lips thicken from line to bow, and the corners turn up. He noticed a movement of her hands, the fist unclench, and the fingers turn pinkly upward. Her face became young and innocent and bravely hurt. It was like one magic lantern slide taking the place of another. And so as a true sociopath, we remember back in chapter 8 when Kathy ran away from home, Her father caught her in Boston, brought her back, and gave her a good beating. And then all of a sudden, she was Miss Compliant and friendly, and she did chores with her mom and went to work with her father and pretended to be this dutiful child because she had a devious plan in place and she could act the part of a normal person when it suited her. In the next chapter, chapter 9, she would push Mr. Edwards away, be mean to him, but she would never be too mean, and then she would have nights where she would treat him oh so well. So we know that she is capable of this double-faced lie, and Samuel, to witness her turn from a demon to a young child at his demand, is chilling in his bones. Suddenly, her eyes glazed and her back arched like a spring, and the blood started to her cheeks. He waited for her cry or scream and looked apprehensively at the closed door. But there was no scream, only a series of grunting squeals. After a few seconds, her body relaxed, and the hatefulness was back in her face. Well, once the holiness and the white-hot purity of the Garden of Eden was violated, then God came and cursed Adam, Eve, and the serpent. The serpent would have his head crushed by the daughter of Eve. Adam would have pain in his work, thorns and thistles in his work, and Eve would experience pain in childbirth. So every time life is born into this world, it's born in a sinful world east of Eden, and that sin entails pain in childbirth. And yet, this demon, this monster, this devil, Kathy, can just pop them out without any time elapsing. Samuel puts his hand on her forehead where her scar showed. How did her scar show? Dark and angry. Then he asked, "How did you get the hurt on your head?" he asked. Her head jerked up, and her sharp teeth fastened on his hand across the back and up into the palm near the little finger. Remember, he had noticed her teeth and how he had never seen anyone chew out of the front teeth and how she flicked her tongue like a serpent. Now those very teeth are biting into his flesh. He cried out in pain and tried to pull his hand away, but her jaw was set and her head twisted and turned, mangling his hand the way a terrier worries a sack. A shrill snarling came from her set teeth. So remember, Adam looked at Charles and said, he's of a different species. Remember, little boy, Samuel looked at that criminal and said, his eyes are not of this world. Now Samuel is seeing this again as almost this Yorkshire terrier, almost a crocodile or a shark flipping their victim over in the water is the way that her eyes and teeth are set on him. He slapped her on the cheek and it had no effect. Automatically, he did what he would have done to stop a dog fight. His left hand went to her throat and he cut off her wind. She struggled and tore at his hand before her jaws unclenched, and he pulled his hand free. The flesh was torn and bleeding. He stepped back from the bed and looked at the damage her teeth had done. He looked at her with fear, and when he looked, her face was calm again and young and innocent. So you see how she's going back and forth, sociopath-like, between a normal person and an absolute demon. He saw the hatred look out of her eyes for a second and then retreat. Samuel said, "Have you got anything to put on it?" His badly bleeding hand. And then he says something packed with meanings. Humans are more poisonous than snakes. And so the question is, which is Kathy? The answer, both. She's a poisonous, venomous human and a poisonous, venomous snake, whichever will inflict the most evil. A strong quaking was in Samuel's stomach, and a sickness rose up against his eyes. He dreaded to look back at the bed. He found in himself a reluctance to look in her face. Her golden hair was wet with perspiration, but her face had changed. It was stony, expressionless. At her throat, the pulse fluttered visibly. "You have 2 sons," Samuel said. 2 fine sons. Just like in the Bible, Cain and Abel, Jacob and Esau, there's twins. They aren't alike, each one born separate in his own sack. Boy, that's the understatement, foreshadowing. They aren't alike. The brothers aren't going to be identical in their personality. She inspected him coldly and without interest. Samuel said, "I'll show your boys to you." "No," she said without emphasis. "Now, dearie, don't you want to see your sons?" "No, I don't want them." "Oh, you'll change. You're tired now, but you'll change. And I'll tell you now, the birth was quicker and easier than I've ever seen in my life." So Samuel has the exact same reaction that Adam has to the same words. Neither of them will listen to her. Neither Adam, though he should be, nor Samuel are conditioned to hear the true evil, the true unloving, uncaring words of a would-be mother. They're so prone to assume the best about people that both of them dismiss her as being confused, and they won't just take her word, her truthful word, that she truthfully does not want to be a mother. She's not interested in either boy. The eyes moved from his face. "I don't want them. I want you to cover the windows and take the light away. It's weariness. In a few days you'll feel so different you won't remember." "I'll remember. Go away. Take them out of the room. Send Adam in." Samuel was caught by her tone. There was no sickness, no weariness, no softness. His words came out without his will. "I don't like you," he said, and wished he could gather the words back into his throat and into his mind. But his words had no effect on Kathy. Back in chapter 8, when Kathy was a little girl, Steinbeck mentions that she simply did not care about the fashions, what was in style, anything going on with us. She was simply unaffected by other people's thoughts of her. She didn't know how to live in a society, and that made people repelled and attracted to her at the same time. And Samuel is now completely repelled. She doesn't care that he doesn't like her at all. Then outside, Adam looked vaguely at his sons. Well, remember exactly what happened when Adam's mother died? It was as if Cyrus forgot that he had a son, and Adam, didn't have milk at first, and he only had whiskey and alcohol. And now that pattern is repeating itself. Adam is looking vaguely at his sons. In a moment came the sound of tapping. Adam was nailing the blankets over the window again. So this brief glimpse of birth and new life and light entered their household, and Adam's immediate reaction is to look vaguely at his sons and to put back up the darkness as soon as possible. Samuel walks out of this scene of seeing the devil incarnate, of being bitten by a serpent, by a demon, by a truly evil person who doesn't love her children, and the life went out of Samuel. "Do what you want, Lee. A frightened sorrow has closed down over my heart. I wish I were a child so I could cry. I'm too old to be afraid like this, and I've not felt such despair since a bird died in my hand by a flowing water long ago." A few moments later, Lee responds to Samuel. He came back with 2 cups and sat down by Samuel. "I think I'll go away," he said. "I never went willingly to a slaughterhouse." Samuel stiffened. "What do you mean?" "I don't know." The words came out. Samuel shivered. So Lee is saying that staying with this family is like going willingly, like a lamb, like a sheep, to the slaughter, and he's never been that kind of person. Samuel responds, "I thought some wind had blown up the embers in my foolish mind, and now I hear in your voice that you have it too. I feel wings over this house. I feel a dreadfulness coming." "I feel it too," Lee said. "I know you do, and that makes me less than my usual comfort in my foolishness. This birth was too quick, too easy, like a cat having kittens, and I fear for these kittens." Foreshadowing. "I fear for these kittens. I have dreadful thoughts gnawing to get into my brain." "What do you want to say?" Lee asked a 3rd time. "I want my wife. I want her here." And so up until this point, Lisa has just been a meme, a joke, a comedic character in her hard religious, close-minded, no fun having, but she's useful in some situations. And in scary situations, you want a hard, steadfast woman, and we see that there's a real love here that Samuel has for his wife. And in this chaotic encounter with evil, what does he want? He wants his lovely wife to come and apply her ferocious toughness to this situation and really save him.